Citi
News.
It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru Sandamadu here tonight with
Ejibiwiafe Akinting.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes, as the foundations of the Office of Special Prosecutor shake following a decision of the High Court, we'll hear from the first Special Prosecutor, Martin Amidu, who says the relationship between the AG and the OSP is broken down beyond repairs. But can it be fixed? Also, coming up, police in Ashanti region intensify security measures to clamp down on rising incidents of highway robberies. And later, on Eyewitness News, trade advocacy groups call off the strike against the publican AI system at the ports despite government's rejection of their demands for its scrapping. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
MTN Ghana blames fiber cuts as major threat to network stability.
That's in 15 minutes from the Citi Business Desk. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a number of affiliate stations and around the globe on citinewsroom.com. We are also on YouTube, we are on Facebook, and we are interactive. Join us with your messages and the world will hear what you think. On WhatsApp, 0549 986 996. That's the WhatsApp number, 0549 986 996. You can go on Twitter, known as X, and mention my handle at Umaru Sanda or at Citi973. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We start off with the Office of Special Prosecutor. It has been in the news since that decision of the High Court became public. That decision, which has shaken the very foundation of the Office of Special Prosecutor as created, has been in the news or has been the top story since the announcement became public. Now, don't forget that while that decision was being rendered by the High Court, there's a pending decision in the Supreme Court over whether or not the Office of Special Prosecutor can exist. Now, in that particular matter, we have an article that has been penned by the first Special Prosecutor and former Attorney General Martin Amidu. Now, his article is on our website titled AG OSP Relationship Broken Down Beyond Repair. Now, this is on citinewsroom.com. I'm just going to read for you some of the things he has said, and then we'll hear from Deputy Attorney General Dr. Sremsai, who has been speaking on this matter. The story says former Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu has warned of a breakdown in relations between the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the Attorney General, raising concerns about the future of Ghana's anti-corruption efforts amid ongoing legal disputes over prosecutorial powers. His comments come in the wake of a High Court ruling on Wednesday, April 15, 2026, which ordered the Attorney General's Department to take over all criminal prosecutions currently being handled by the OSP pending formal authorization from the Attorney General's office. In a detailed legal commentary, Mr. Amidu said the Attorney General's statement of case, filed after seeking an extension of time, appears to substantially agree with the plaintiff's arguments challenging key provisions of the law establishing the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The case, initiated by one Noah Ephraim Tete at Damte in December 2025, is seeking constitutional interpretation and declaratory reliefs, particularly questioning whether aspects of Act 959 improperly granted prosecutorial independence to the Special Prosecutor in contravention of Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution. The story continues to say, Mr. Amidu noted that the Attorney General failed to file a defense within the stipulated time, only applying for an extension on April 8, 2026, 4 months after the suit was filed. The Supreme Court has since granted the application. Now, let's take some quotes from the statement or the article issued by Martin Amidu. And he says, quote, "The statement of the defendant's case does not appear to me to objectively, neutrally, and impartially present an ethical response to the plaintiff's statement of case that may assist the Supreme Court in the true tradition of the law as an officer of the court delivering justice." The quotes continue to say that a collusive, so he says he further suggested that the posture taken by the Attorney General could give the impression of a collusive action, raising ethical concerns about the conduct of states in constitutional litigation. The former special prosecutor criticized reactions from some civil society actors, particularly over the Supreme Court's earlier refusal to join the OSP as a party to the case. So that is one of many paragraphs authored by former Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu on the pending case before the Supreme Court on this issue of the Office of Special Prosecutor. We have several angles coming up. Let's hear from Edem Senanu. He is co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Sir, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you for having me.
I just read an article from Martin Amidu. He's also remembered as saying that when you fight corruption, corruption fights back. There are people who have a view that the what we are seeing around the Office of Special Prosecutor amounts to corruption fighting back. Do you hold that view as an anti-corruption crusader?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the legislation, the constitution, everything is so clear that you can only draw the conclusion that some persons who are feeling the heat have decided that they must collaborate to undermine the work of the social prosecutor. Because none of this, in the context of what happened from 2018 to date, makes sense. On one hand, it's comical. On the other hand, it's a disappointing show of a lack of ethics. That's the way I think there's a lot of ethical bankruptcy that is being demonstrated.
Lack of ethics on the part of who?
Of persons who should know better. I mean, if you have two high courts ruling on the same day, you do you just take one court ruling and say you are running, you are taking over, you are doing this and that? Isn't the ethical thing to say that, okay, obviously there's a disparity between the two court rulings, let's wait and get clarity from the Supreme Court? That's the ethical test. Know what is right, do what is right, influence others to do what is right. There appears to be an increasing lack of ethics, and that's, I mean, it's not often that the political elite themselves appreciate how others see these things, But I think that this is just a shame. Embarrassing and a shame.
Now, it appears, based on listening to, and I listened to the Deputy Attorney General today when he spoke to a sister station, he created the impression that every constitutional lawyer worth his salt would believe that the OSP law is faulty or built on a faulty foundation. Now, if an institution is being set up to fight corruption and the institution itself is wobbly, then there's a problem. As crusaders in that space, did it come to your attention at any point? Because in the past, we have seen copious documents that have been published suggesting that the minority side in particular, namely current Attorney General and current Minister for Education, who were then in opposition, have said that the law that was holding the OSP together was not a proper law. Did you think about this at any point, that if the law is bad, then the action and the work would come to naught?
I mean, if that were the case, why don't you go to court? Why don't you take the action in Parliament to repeal the law? If the law is the one that was ineffective, why is the talk all about the SP and the OSP and not about the law? Why is the talk about authorization when LI 2374 provides the authorization? I mean, it's very amusing. No, facts be told. There was a long process with the Hansard captures in 2018. All these debates were put up. I mean, you just pick Article 88(4) of the Constitution. It's explicit. Prosecutorial power can be delegated, but must be done by law. By law means you either have an EI, an LI, and that's by law. Now, Honorable Gorakufo, being smart and understanding the issues, decided to go for an LI because, of course, an executive instrument is one signed by the president and the minister and can be revoked by them easily. An LI is much more complicated. You have to go back to Parliament, go through the process. So the LI 2374 was passed, and in that LI, in fact, LI 2373 also covers part of things relating to the OSP. Very well thought through process. And now somebody wants to claim there's no authorization. There was no authorization when the Attorney General of the time, and by the way, you know, governance issue of a continuous business. So we don't say because one regime is out, the next regime comes, you start all over again. The Attorney General at the time herself got the law passed, got the LI passed, signed off, went ahead to do the nomination. This is all from the AG. I mean, if somebody is not authorized, how do you set it up, do the regulation, nominate the person goes to president, it comes back for vetting, all of that is not authorization. Come on, this is a joke.
So you mean that you disagree with the judgment of the High Court and the opposition from the Attorney General's department?
Absolutely. In fact, I say it's comedy. Just look at the law. Look at Article 884. In fact, it's on the basis of Article 884 that Smith, VRA, the police, they all have prosecutorial power, and most of them were done by EI, which comes under Article 30, Section 56. That's for executive instruments. But that is a far weaker route. I mean, it's a shorter, weaker route because the minister himself or the president himself can do that. An LI is a stronger route. And you are saying the president has an LI and the LI is explicit. And you are saying, you know, I mean, when you have a decision like that, you go back to the Supreme Court for interpretations, as simple as that. I find it amusing that the High Court could rule, and then somebody begins to say that ruling goes to the extent of what? Handing over cases. Cases that they said were void. If the cases were void, how do you hand over cases that were void? Under what regime do you then begin to, take over, do the investigation or do the prosecution? Really very, very, I don't know what to call them, intriguing things going on. No, honestly speaking, there is no leg, no basis. And I'm just afraid that the deputy AG is misleading the public. Let's not allow the politicians, who obviously have an agenda to protect their own, from misleading us. And they think that we are blind. We are not blind.
But why do you think the politicians are protecting their own when corruption can be prosecuted even without an OSP? I mean, in the past, we've seen people go to jail for corruption before the Office of Special Prosecutor was created anyway. And those people were prosecuted by politically appointed attorneys general. So what exactly is the point?
In the past, the reason why we had such an overwhelming majority supporting this was because we had done the historical analysis. Go ask past ages, how many of their own were they able to prosecute? Those sitting in cabinet or those who have political positions much more influential than themselves. It wasn't happening. And it was only the small fry who from time to time you hear, oh, this is happening, that's happening, you know. And by the way, Ghana is not an island unto itself. This experience we are talking about is happening all over. Over the last few days, I've been getting, because I wear an AU hat, questions from my people in Sierra Leone and other places. What's happening to your people? Why are they fighting among themselves? Sierra Leone has similar experiences, and the Supreme Court cleared it up. This is nothing new. We're not going to think that is distinctly unique to Ghana. Okay. When they go to the US, the same thing happens. An AG appoints a special prosecutor. As soon as the appointment is done, the AG no longer has any influence, any say in how that special prosecutor transacts business to ensure the independence of the final report. Okay. Standard international best practice.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for speaking to us, Edem Senano.
And thank you for having me.
So that's Edem Senano. He's co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Let's speak to a lawyer and a politician and a former Minister of State, Samuel Atachia, former Member of Parliament for Buakwa South. You're welcome to Eyewitness News here.
My joy as always. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to speak to you. You've seen the public discourse around the OSP for some time now about whether or not it should be scrapped. It started off with a proposal for the law that you established. You were part of it when that law was enacted, for that law to be scrapped through legislative means. The president intervened and the legislators withdrew. Then we've seen an action mounted at the Supreme Court, which is looking at the legality of the existence of the office. Now, even before the Supreme Court decides, the High Court has also made a decision which appears, many people hold a view that it amounts to interpretation which the judge had no locus to do based on the issue at stake. What is your reading of the issues around the OSP from since we started talking about it till now?
Well, in the first instance, I believe, sometimes we believe, is a law which per se can reform society. The law can be there, but if the human beings are not law compliant, we are just wasting our time. So the creation of the OSP's office is not the panacea to solving all the corruption matters. He will do his bit. I mean, my chief concern is that why would the NDC that made this a major issue, even their campaign message that they will fight corruption, and they have the Attorney General doing some good work on corruption, and the OSP's outfit doing some work too. Don't you think they can sort of marry the two and then achieve greater results? So what is this turf war about? But what is very, very much, funny for me is somebody sending me a legislative instrument, you see, which is indicative of the fact that, at all material times, that is LI 2374, Office of the Special Prosecutors Operation Regulation, 2018, Regulation 11. Right there, the Attorney General of the moment put this LI together so that the special prosecutor, apart from investigation, can prosecute. So if that is the state of affairs, then probably we are wasting our energies on, if you like, academic work in the courts.
Now, the judge at the High Court made a decision where he questioned the warrant of the Office of Special Prosecutor in prosecuting the gentleman who was an applicant before him. That judge, based on that, would not have erred. Now that you have talked about this LI you talk about, you think that the judge then has erred? And do you also hold a view that the judge engaged in interpretation which he did not have a locus to engage in?
In the first instance, I don't believe that the judge was informed about LI 2374, which the length and breadth of it is so clear that Regulation 11 empowers the special prosecutor to prosecute cases as investigated. Without recourse to the Attorney General, because the LI was at the instance of the Attorney General. So that, in fact, LI 2374 is beyond a fiat. And if that is the case, then why is the judge saying that the special prosecutor needs the warrant of the Attorney General before, he can prosecute? So that is my first take on it. But you see, if a judge should hear that there is a matter in the Supreme Court touching on constitutional interpretation, and there are some ramifications even about the around to the authority, whether somebody is subverting the authority of the Attorney General with the greatest of respect, the judge should hold fire and abide the outcome of the Supreme Court decision. Because as a matter of fact, in some moments, that matters will go to the High Court. And the judge should realize that there are some remnants of the case that have constitutional interpretation. They make a referral, they make a stated case to the Supreme Court to interpret the matter, and then they suspend hearing until they have the constitutional interpretation and they apply it. This is how it goes. So either way, LI 2374 has taken the factual foundation out of what the judge did, because in there it's clear that the Attorney General has given powers to the special prosecutor to prosecute.
You mentioned
so that co-warranto has been defeated by LI 2374. That's my humble view.
I'm looking at the LI 2374. I'm struggling to see which of the regulations.
It's a regulation 11.
I've read a regulation 11, but I seem not to see a direct clearance from the AGs. And I'm going to read with your permission. With your permission, so that my listeners also get to know.
Let me also try and put my finger on it directly so that I could help.
Okay, great. So it says decision to prosecute. The special prosecutor or an authorized officer shall, upon considering the facts and evidence gathered from an investigation, take a decision whether or not to prosecute. Now that is
the end of the matter.
That's all the 11 says, but it does not say that the decision to prosecute by the special prosecutor is subject to a warrant issued by the Attorney General. And I believe that's the issue that is being talked about now, that there's no specific warrant where the AG has said we have yielded some part of our power to you.
If you go to page 44, you see, it is the Attorney General of the day, Gloria Efua Akufu, Miss, who processed this LI. And that is a very important matter for the simple reason that you may decide to prosecute. And the airline never said, with my fiat again. Because with the legislative instrument, that's the end of the matter. It settles the fact that the Attorney General has ceded some of her constitutional powers to the special prosecutor by LI 2374.
But
so what are we interpreting again?
It's interesting.
If you didn't see,
it's interesting you say this, but one of the deputies under Gloria Akufu, whom you reference here, Joseph Kwenka, at the time he was MP, your colleague in Parliament and Deputy Attorney General, has said to my colleague here on Eyewitness News that the law of the OSP was wobbly and that there ought to have been a warrant, and which warrant was never issued. And that is why he agrees with the learned judge at the High Court that the OSP had no warrant to operate a part of Article 88 without prior approval from the AG or permission from the AG.
You can't subordinate a warrant to a legislative instrument with the greatest of respect. So what the Deputy Attorney General is saying, again, I defer to him, but he's wrong. You see, because the legislative instrument has not been set aside. It's still subsisting. And if you pay regard to what it's intended for, Office of the Special Prosecutor, Operations Regulations 2018, LI 2374, under the hand of the Attorney General. And the Office of the Attorney General is a continuum. It's not tied to a personality. That's why it is in Article 88. Anybody who assumes the office will have the glory and the benefit of the constitutional provision. So from my humble perspective, if there is an LI that has given power to the special prosecutor to prosecute, I'm afraid what the High Court judge did is wrong in law. Because the co-warranto that the person was interested in is grounded already in the LI. That is where the authority of the special prosecutor is coming from.
There's a school of thought that because the Office of Special Prosecutor Bill itself was drafted and presented to Parliament, and that by the Attorney General, and that it was the Attorney General who nominated the Special Prosecutor in the first place, where Parliament did the vetting and the President did the appointment, it can be implied that the Attorney General has tacitly given or indirectly given an endorsement and a warrant to the office, because first of all, the AG brought the bill, the AG worked around the bill, watched it until it became law and even went ahead to appoint or nominate somebody to be special prosecutor. So you cannot claim that the AG did not give permission for the existence of the office or the prosecution to be carried out in his or her name. Now that goes to also support, that school of thought supports this your position on the LI. Now my question based on these two issues is that, would you say then that the officers who were prosecuting for the OSP on behalf of the state did a poor job by not drawing the court's attention to the LI and also this argument about the creation of the law which was sponsored by the AG, so that they could have convinced the judge otherwise? Perhaps the judge dealt with only what was before him?
Well, that could be a valid argument to make, that indeed, if the foundation of your strength to prosecute is the LI, and you are not even aware or you didn't wield it before the judge, it's not good enough. But I think you've elevated this conversation to a higher level, that the one who was policing the law, if you like, the bill for the creation of the office of the special prosecutor was the Attorney General. Was the Attorney General not acutely aware that in trying to create the office of the special prosecutor, some of her powers will go to the special prosecutor, so that the special prosecutor would take some of the, huge undertakings on the neck of the Attorney General. So that dimension I brought to bear on this matter, excuse me to say, diffuses the tension that, why this turf war? Why this latter day arrangement that somebody is very excited that if you should deprive the the office of the special prosecutor of its power to prosecute, it will be in the best interest of the Attorney General. I'm tempted to believe that he's so overloaded. If you got somebody who's doing a good job, they complement each other. So it's not turf war, but if you complement each other and do some good work. But as to whether or not the special prosecutor has the power to prosecute, the Attorney General of York had ceded it to him already. And that is a legislative instrument that we are discussing.
Now, because I brought to you that idea, I also have a counter to that idea, which counter is that the AG really brings a lot of bills to the House of Parliament because they were drafted by various institutions and agencies of state. And the AG typically is almost like the way AGs are nominal defendants in a lot of cases, would just be doing their administrative work. But that may not be interpreted to mean a tacit endorsement or acceptance that this office should take a part of my power. What do you make of that counter argument?
I don't think it's grounded in any reality, because as a matter of fact, if the AG was not aware that some of his powers will be taken away by the special prosecutor, and it will not disturb the Article 88 arrangement, then you're trying to say that the Attorney General and the rest of it, and even Parliament, was not thinking. So nobody should be deceived into thinking that, we were oblivious of the fact that in the final analysis, the Attorney General will cede the powers to some of the powers to prosecute to the office of the special prosecutor. If not, then we don't need the office of the special prosecutor, because it is like a glorified CID office. You go and do your investigations, you build a dossier, and that is the end of you. That you give the dossier to the office of the Attorney General to continue. Then what is the use of the CID? What's it called? The headquarters.
In fact,
and they should have given them a special desk to be doing exactly what a special prosecutor is doing.
In fact, there's
the absurdity of the argument.
In fact, there's a view that actually is what should be happening, because you see, when you were creating the special prosecutor law, you created it with this garment of independence, no control from whoever. In fact, even the board was not subject to control and all of those things. So there was, I don't know whether to use the word pretense by the legislator that the Office of Special Prosecutor was independent, when in fact we are now saying it still takes a blessing from the Attorney General's Department. If it takes blessings from the Attorney General's Department, then we cannot strictly call it independent. And again, if it is to take blessings from the Attorney General's Department like the police does, then you would expect to hear in court that officers of the Special Prosecutor would come to court and say, we have sent the docket to the Attorney General for advice. If that does not happen, then you cannot strictly say the AG is controlling the prosecution. Now, if the AG is also controlling the prosecution, then the OSP is not independent. How do you marry that two?
Obviously. If somebody said that it is the AG that will determine how the Office of the Special Prosecutor will run in terms of prosecutions, and then what is the point of this? The creation of this setup. That's why I'm saying that the Attorney General of the day and the Parliament of the day were equally actively aware that some powers under Article 88 will be ceded to the Special Prosecutor to make that new office functional and operative. What is the point? To have an investigative body like the CID that has no teeth to bite. We are back to square one. So I do not see any issue of somebody trying to say that, this will undermine the independence of the setup. Which of the functioning bodies of this nation is 100% independent? We don't have one.
Okay.
After all, even it is the president who appointed CJ then also, and is the president who appointed the Inspector General of Police.
Yeah.
So in terms of that,
and the Electoral Commission chairperson.
Yes, all that we need to have are good people, well-meaning, so that they will apply the law faithfully and they will get a benefit.
Finally, would you say that the OSP itself has led to its undoing, and that for the how many years that the office has been in existence, people on the street would say, this office, what has it done for us? How many people have they been able to jail? Nothing. They've just been collecting our money. They have an 11-story building near Parliament House. They drive big cars. They have not jailed anybody. So just let the CID continue doing, because even the CID is doing better than the OSP in how many years? Would you agree that perhaps the failure of the OSP to successfully prosecute corruption and have someone thrown in jail for people to celebrate could be the reason that a lot of people are celebrating the seeming death of the office?
And that would be a very emotive argument, because half the time people believe that, it is a prosecutor who can jail an accused person. We all know that the prosecutor should even bring before the court of law matters that are exculpatory of the accused person. So you can package your case, but you don't have the ultimate power to determine guilt. That is ceded to the judiciary also. So sometimes the people feed frenzy on these matters that if not jail people. I find it very pathetic. If the prosecutor has the power to jail, then the rule of law is meaningless. You need to package your so-called, theory of facts, go before a court of law, adduce evidence, cross-examination, evaluation of evidence, and determine the guilt or otherwise of the person. So that is a problem. So if the special prosecutor took 18 or 28 cases to court and got just 7 convictions, it's not the failure of the OSP per se, but because of probably the poverty of the evidence, or guess what? The fact that you need to prove beyond reasonable doubt what is supposed to be a very good case against another person. So I don't share that, and I've been a victim of that people believe that, you can just, make the media happy and laugh over matters and think that is proof that somebody is guilty. When you enter the forum called a court of law, then you know the difference. Adducing evidence to prove beyond reasonable doubt, it's a tall order, I'm afraid. And people should respect that.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, sir.
My joy as always.
That's the Honorable Samuel Atachian. He is former MP for Buakwa South, former Minister of State, in a private legal practitioner. This is Eyewitness News on Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from our studios in Accra and around the station, around the country, on a number of stations, including AGB. Please.
The Western region, we're live on 100.5 FM, Beach 105.5 FM, and Sky 93.5 FM on Takrad. In the Bono region, tune into Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani in the Ashanti region. We're live on Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. Tune into Right 90.1 FM in Somenya in the Eastern region, and Holy 98.5 FM in Aplawo in the Volta region. In the Northern region, we're live on Dasuma 99.1 FM in Yendi, and in the Upper East region, tune into Word 88.3 FM in Zwarungu, Mike 105.3 FM in Navrongo, Mboga 102.7 FM in Bogatanga. And in the Upper West region, you can also tune into Pupeli 92.7 FM in Wa.
And around the globe on citinewsroom.com, that's our website, and on YouTube and also on Facebook, look for Citi FM. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Kuma has always dreamt of commanding his own military forces.
Attention! Eyes right, stand at ease.
Because that dream is still a vision in progress, he spends his time commanding his money with the EcoBank mobile app.
Operation Supplier Payment. Dispatch 1,000 units of currency from Accra to Benin. Move! Move!
Sometimes he wants a little extra control so that he can buy only what he needs.
Command Center mobile app. Activate virtual card protocol and initiate payments for sneakers and t-shirts. Abort mission for leather coat payment.
Even when the general is fast asleep, his standing order marches out to sort his bills. With the EcoBank mobile app, you can command your money to make safe transactions in Ghana and across 33 African countries. Download the EcoBank mobile app on the Play or App Store today.
By the left, about turn.
EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. EcoBank will never call or send an SMS asking for your PIN, OTP, bank card, or Ghana card details.
This damn patch again. Ebo, look at this wall. Every few months, the same damn patch comes back. I've painted it twice already. What is all this?
Kofi, you can't fight moisture with paint too. The problem is inside the building itself.
Yes. So what can I do? The house is already finished.
Simple. Gasem Super Strong Waterproof Cement. It's a new cement with built-in water protection technology.
Water protection?
Yes. So it's just for repairs? No, my friend. That's the difference. Use it to fix dampness and seepage. Or use it for new buildings. Foundation, block work, plastering. One cement that builds and protects.
Wow.
Gasm Super Strong Waterproof Cement. The one cement that builds and protects. Build it right once. Gasm, the nation builder.
Electroland Ghana Limited, ye mamo, where ye de my dready for woman ye o. A sansa munu credi, a soya ninti, ye mamo, a chedia cassia, a chedia cassia, ye de mo enemy. Every Accra, a quatamali, Ghana fanenina. Electroland, number 1. Near Hianis Obeto Samsung, TCL, Media, any Nasco Niama, Electroland showroom, any anamosi for one more Ghana fanenina. And also dial *928*8888# Ube to Miss Wako register.electrolandraffles.com. And now by now watching your Busumia crad ye now wait to me and Yachedia Kesiepa. A free TVs, ACs, fridges, gas cookers, washing machines, sound towers, mobile phones, and in your kikahwa ye de mawonkwa. To medie and the Caritas platform no Ajiatu Kaisa in Shishe Kakra wo home. Electroland Ghana, rewarding your loyalty the big way.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let me bring some of the messages you've been sending to us. Before then, let's listen to this interview that Deputy Attorney General Dr. Sremsai granted Joy FM this morning on the Office of Special Prosecutor.
Why not? Why not? Why won't we grant them the authorization if they apply for it? We have been liaising with the Office of the Special Prosecutor since since we came to office. There are so many things that we have done, some of which I cannot put out there. So there is no issue about liaising or not liaising. We will always, why won't we? That's the question I am asking. OSP is not interested in coming for the authorization, and it's because the OSP says that it is independent and doesn't require the authorization. That is the issue at the center of it. It's not about why you think if OSP wants to, the office wants to come for the authorization, what does it take? It's a letter you write to us. So the fact that they are not doing it should even prompt you to know that the issue is bigger than coming for authorization. The whole argument is the independence of the special prosecutor, which is at the core of this issue. So if you simplify the matter and it says that it's just about giving authorization and not giving it, then you probably have completely left the issue aside and you're addressing a completely different issue.
So that's Deputy Attorney General Dr. Sremsai. Let me bring some of your messages. Abi National in Wa says the president is ready to change this country for the better, including the OSP. Wills Yoga in Ho West constituency says former Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu's claims about the office of the Special Prosecutor and the Attorney General being irreparable overlooks the court's ruling for continuity in handling corruption cases. His tenure lacked impactful results in fighting corruption, raising questions about his effectiveness. Rather than criticizing, we should focus on strengthening these institutions to better combat corruption. Sami in Accra says, why is Edem Senanu running everywhere defending the SP? What is the secret? Aziz Donline Wa says, I'm fully convinced now that the OSP should be scrapped completely because since its inception, there's no results to point to. Azay Christian Atanunya from Aflau says, good evening, Umaru. I am of the view that they amend that portion of the law so that the OSP is not entirely scrapped. Baba Chairman in Tamale says, the incompetence and ineptitude of this government is exposed by the day, and in no time Ghanaians would pass a vote of no confidence on them. Uncle Fred in Gulf City, Tama says, hello, Umaru. I'm following your conversation on the powers of the OSP. My question is, why is the name Special Prosecutor who cannot prosecute? I get a mischief you're trying to talk about there. But this is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Send your messages to 0549 986 996. That's the WhatsApp number, 0549 986 996. And the world will hear what you think. Alternatively, you can go on Twitter, now known as X, and drop your messages there. Like Sawari Jacob has done from Laura, and he says, is the Office of Special Prosecutor truly necessary? Corruption was addressed before its inception. It seems we have simply created positions for political loyalists as the taxpayers' expenses. The OSP office is toothless and should be scrapped. This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. What else do we have?
An Accra High Court has granted bail to NPP Sunyani East Constituency Communications Officer Abubakar Yakubu, popularly known as Baba Amando. Baba Amando was handed a 2-week remand by an Accra Circuit Court on Tuesday, April 14. However, his legal team appealed the ruling leading to his release. The court admitted him to bail in the sum of 30,000 Ghana cedis with 2 sureties and ordered him to report to the police every 2 weeks as investigations continue. A member of Baba Amando's legal team and MP for Menchia South, Nana Ije Bafo Iwa, has described the remand as a political strategy aimed at suppressing free speech.
When you look at the what Baba Amando, for instance, is said to have done, all he did was to publish memes. Memes have become part of political communication. And as you are aware, there have been a lot of publications of that manner in the past. And so if you say you are going to arrest people for publishing memes, then clearly nobody can talk. And when nobody talks, who benefits? And so when you go on that tangent, then clearly you want to restrain people from talking. Such conduct may politically not be right for some people, dependent on where you stand. But the question is whether or not it is one that should be punishable by law. If it is one that should be punishable by law, then you journalists have a big problem.
A member of Baba Amando's legal team and MP for Menchia South, Nana Ije Bafo Iwa. Now, the Ashanti Regional Police Command says it has intensified security measures to clamp down on the rising incidents of highway robberies. This follows two separate robbery attacks on the Bibiani-Goso highway stretch in the Ashanti region, which left a player of Brekum Chelsea dead and a driver and his mate severely injured. In an interview, the Ashanti Regional Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Godwin Ahianyo, urged the public and travellers to remain calm, assuring that the police are committed to reducing crime to the barest minimum.
After these two incidents, we placed our FPU base. Initially we had one FPU base. As we speak, they've augmented their strength. We added more men to those who are already on the ground. We have also added vehicles to ensure that our men are always on that stretch patrolling to avoid some of these unfortunate highway robberies that we recorded. So if you ask, yes, the men are on the ground, and also the PID personnel, that is the Police Intelligence Directorate personnel, who are always in Mufti, are also on the ground just to gather intelligence to help us get those behind these robberies. And as we speak, yesterday we issued a statement indicating that we have arrested two of them, the gang leader and one, and we declared three other persons wanted. I can assure you that pretty soon we'll also get them arrested.
Ashanti Regional Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Godwin Ahianyo.
Now, there's a story that we are receiving here in our newsroom. We are told that there was a meeting today involving the Minister for Education, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, and the Get Fund Administrator, Mr. Paul J. And we are told that tensions rose at this particular meeting. There were other leaders in the education sector at that particular meeting, and we are told that the meeting ended in disquiet over disagreements on procurement procedures and reporting lines. The meeting today involving the Minister, Directors of Education, Executives of CHAS and Get Fund Administrator, matters came to a head when the Get Fund Administrator reportedly informed the Minister of Education that, quote, he was not answerable to him in matters of procurement, unquote. Now, the situation, we are told, created an easy atmosphere within the ministry as a number of infrastructure projects are due for approval within the education sector. Now, coming on the back of the Africa Education Watch policy monitoring in the sector, which revealed some gaps in the implementation of some government policies like school infrastructure, desks, and textbooks, among others, some industry watchers fear that the impasse between the Minister for Education, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, and the Get Fund Administrator, Paul J, could lead to delays in the provision of services in basic and secondary schools in particular. It's a story we have an eye on and we'll be following for more. As soon as we get more, we'll be sharing with you. In the meantime, you can go to our website, citinewsroom.com, where we have that story for your perusal. And as soon as we get other details, we add them to our publication. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let's talk now about the strike that was called by operators within the port sector over the government's newly introduced system, an AI system, which they were kicking against. We are told that they have since called off their strike, but on what terms? John Awuni is Executive Chairman of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, FABAC. He's joined us on the line. You're welcome to Eyewitness News, sir. Mr. Awuni, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
First of all, you had made the point that the new publican AI system, and you didn't speak to me, but your other association members said that the new publican AI system was not good for your business. Has that position shifted? Has it changed? Or you still stand by that position?
We still stand by that position 100%.
And this is despite all the complaints and the points you raised?
Yeah, we don't know how that AI operates. By the name AI, artificial intelligence, we currently believe that the AI is living by its name, turning out artificial figures for businesses to pay. So we moved into the meeting yesterday. As I led the meeting, we moved into the meeting yesterday with key objectives. We wanted them to suspend that AI and then also improve upon the compliance system, the appeal system. Then also ensure that they open the system to us to be able to understand it and then evaluate it, and for that matter, even audit it, and then set up a committee for us to be able to join and then ensure the technical efficiency of that. The deliberations were so strong, and it took us almost a whole day. Government was saying that if they suspend it, then there will not be any data to use to evaluate the system. So we should allow the system to operate. Then they will immediately set up a committee beginning maybe Monday, and then we will participate in that committee, bring in members. Indeed, as I speak now, they have given us about 8 slots that we can bring in and then audit the system. Then they also said they will ensure that all the backlog of appeals that were hanging in the system, particularly for the month of March, will be dealt with judiciously. And then they also talked about the fact that they are very open to amendment. And so those were some of the things that clearly that we talked about. And what they said they will not suspend it. So we have agreed. Well, once they agree that they want to open the system, because we want to know who are the owners and many other things. Our key objective moving into the committee is to determine the accuracy of the public AI evaluation system. We don't trust it. We want to assess the consistency and the stability of the system, evaluate the compliance with Ghanaian custom law and the international standards, identify potential systemic biases or distortions, and quantify the economic and operational impact on the importers. For instance, we want to be sure that what the AI, does it comply with the Custom Act 2016, Act 891? Does it comply with WTO Customs Valuation Agreement, which is the transaction value principle? Because, for instance, yesterday I asked a question which was not answered. If you import a commodity and then you are given you have a receipt, and the receipt is a 10 cedis that you have a 10 cedi that is your cost, and then the AI picks this particular commodity and then value it and says that it is 20 cedis. Now you go ahead and pay the 20 cedis duty on 20 cedis. When you are preparing your accounting record, do you record the 10 cedis or you record the 20 cedis? We want to get clear answers on this because these are very, very serious matters. And so that is what happened. And we are expecting that, well, when we move in, we will audit the system and as I outlined, and then we will see at the end of the day, there will be independent opinion. Either we will carry them along our line for them to sustain it, or they will carry us along their line to continue the operations of it.
So despite the challenges you have, you still called off your strike, and you do know that as organized labor, strike actions are one of the harshest tools you have to deploy ahead of negotiations or during negotiations. Now that you have withdrawn, it presupposes that you are okay with the system?
We are never okay with it. We are never okay with it. At least there have been some concessions. Initially, they said they will not disclose whatever and all that. Now they say they will disclose. They are open to set up a committee, and the setting up of the committee is already on the way, so that we can probe. We are now given the opportunity to probe the system, to determine the accuracy of it, assess the consistency of it, evaluate compliance with the law, identify the potential systemic biases and distortions, and quantify the economic and operational impact on importers. When we get into that system, then we will be able to come back out with very scientific data to indicate to Ghanaians that, well, we are confident in the system or we are not confident in the system. But as it is, the data we have prior to our declaration of the strike was excessive upward adjustment in declared values. In some cases, 200%. And I think that you have seen the cement people even cement people petition. And they are talking about a particular product they used to charge $3 per ton. It's now being charged $40. And then also another one they were charging $36, now being charged $126. To the extent that the Ministry of Trade has been petitioned, and the Ministry of Trade has also in turn petitioned the Ministry of Finance. And we have those documents. And so this is a very serious thing. It's not an issue of trying to support people to undercut or under-invoice. We have made it very known to the Ministry of Finance, and for that matter, the GRA, that we are very committed to support government deploying digital technology to improve revenue mobilization, curb under-invoicing, curb smuggling, curb misclassification, and all others. But we are not in support of any illegality. The WTO principle and indeed Ghana Customs Act principle is the transaction value principle. We don't seem to see that being applied. We see outrageous figures being just turned out, and businesses are forced to pay. Not only forced to pay, we are also forced to pay demurrages. And we are seeing that the economic impact in the country is going to be very, 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 very serious in the coming weeks. And we think that government must still suspend that AI in the interest of their constituents, in the interest of their food soldiers, in the interest of the Ghanaian consumer. Because as we speak now, the market, the sales in the market is very, 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 very low. And we find it even worrying that the government is even still employing open market operations to absorb money from the system. And so it's going to even exacerbate the situation. Now the prices seem to be quite low, and they are mobilizing money out, and demand is low. What will happen if prices go up? How do you price a product that you used to price 3 times of it now? Because the prices of the goods currently in the market is a reflection of the duties that we paid. Now the duties that we are paying will reflect in the market, and that will be very, very, very terrible.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us here.
My pleasure.
That's Mr. John Awuni. He's Executive Chairman of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, FABAC. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Up next is Eyewitness News, the segment on the show known as Citi Business News. And it's brought to you by Republic Bank. We are the one for you. Join the Republic verse. Do more, shine more, big up.
Be there as it happens.
Mr. Kojo, 1 minute before you go to work. The AC you said you want to fix, it won't work.
Why?
Because the electrician will come and chisel my wall. It will make my building weak. Wait, is that a puppy? No animals in my house,
Kojo knows all the challenges about renting. That was his reality until he discovered Republic Bank. With Republic Bank's flexible mortgage solutions, you can move from tenant to homeowner quickly. Imagine stepping into your own home, a place for your family to grow and create memories. Big up. Join the Republic verse. Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Ejubi Wiafe Akente. Let's settle for the details. Telecommunications giant MTN Ghana has identified fiber cuts as a major operational challenge affecting the company's service delivery. The Chief Executive Officer of MTN Ghana, Stephen Blewett, disclosed that about 157 network sites were recently impacted by these disruptions, which have continued to place pressure on network operations. Speaking at the CEO's Corner session during the MTN Ghana Accra Media and Stakeholder Forum, he noted that the recurring fiber cuts are undermining network stability and contributing to poor customer service.
Obviously, if we have fiber cuts, it's problematic because we have way too many fiber cuts. So from a consumer's point of view, when the network goes down, and I can cite lots of examples where we've had like 157 sites down recently. Why? Because there was double fiber cuts, and which I'm not an engineer, I'm a financial person, but let me give the quick answer. You have a site, and you and I make a call, we go through the site, but the site, the actual data has to be backhauled from the site, and so you need fiber to do that. And all these sites are connected to different fiber rings. So if you cut the fiber, it's not just talking about cutting fiber to someone's home. When you cut fiber, you bring down all those sites. And that's problematic. So the experience is bad. So we have to pray.
Stephen Blewer dismissed claims that the company is involved in the theft of customers' data.
The more we open up the highway, the more we open up the capacity, the more that you will use, of course. Remember also some of the social media products like YouTube. YouTube optimizes for the speed of the network. So if you've got a better connection, what does it do? It gives you a better quality video. It's going to use more. And I can categorically say this, and I've been a CEO, as you said, for 18 years in telecoms. I have never worked, and I've been 10 years at MTN, at any business where we're stealing data. There's zero incentive for MTN to steal data from you, zero, because it just will just chase people away. It's not something we do. It's not part of our values. So there's a lot that we have to do as customers.
Stephen Blewett is Chief Executive Officer of MTN Ghana. Now, the International Monetary Fund is expressing growing confidence in Ghana's economic outlook, indicating that the country's recent economic improvements could continue even after its current program with the fund ends. The renewed optimism reflects what the IMF sees as a gradual recovery from the 2022-2023 economic crisis driven by fiscal consolidation and reforms. Speaking during the IMF's Regional Economic Outlook press conference for Sub-Saharan Africa, Director of African Department Abebe Selassie said the country is ready. Reform efforts are beginning to yield results.
After the difficult crisis that the government had with people of Ghana, of course, had gone through in 22-23, yeah? So that continued performance is really good, and it's on the back of continuing to implement the reforms that the government had identified as being important on the revenue side, addressing the challenges in the state-owned enterprises on the energy sector, clearing the path for recovery that we are seeing. Growth-wise, we hope that this can be sustained, and really for Ghana, I think it's going forward. It's really about how to make sure that the fiscal balance remains contained, and there is a continued balance between addressing development needs and avoiding debt sustainability challenges. The program has, or the commitments the government made under the program have ensured that. So it's about sustaining that in the post-program period.
Abebe Selassie is the director of the African Department at the International Monetary Fund. Away from that, GCB Bank PLC shareholders have approved a 1 Citi per share dividend for the 2025 financial year at the bank's 32nd annual general meeting. The approval follows strong financial performance by the indigenous lender, which posted a profit after tax of 2.06 billion Ghana cedis for 2025, supported by growth in interest income, improved asset quality, and solid trading performance. Speaking at the AGM, the board chairman of the bank, Professor Joshua Alabi, indicated that the performance underscores the bank's resilience and capacity to deliver value to shareholders while sustaining growth.
And your satisfaction remains our priority. In response, we took up the challenge and have engaged the Bank of Ghana extensively over the past year. We are pleased that our efforts have yielded positive results. To announce that the Bank of Ghana has granted approval for the payment of dividend for the year 2025 financial year. Accordingly, the directors recommend the payment of dividend of 1 Citi per share amounting to 265 million Ghana cedis for the financial year ended 31st December 2025. As we look ahead to the future, we do so with optimism and confidence. We are fully aware of the challenges that may arise.
That was the board chairman of GCB Bank PLC, Professor Joshua Alabi. Now, government has underscored the importance of reliable access to raw materials as a key driver for attracting industrial investment into Ghana. The Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofosue-Jare, made the remarks during a working visit to M&D Metals Company Limited in Tema.
We will continue to bring policies that feed our industry. This will also encourage more people to site their industries here, because access to raw material is always key. Wherever you find raw material is a good place to put your industry. And so this is what the government has done. Any policy that comes will of course come with a few challenges. So we'll continue to listen to industry and see what we can do after we have implemented this. Some of the teasing issues will be discussed, and then we'll find lasting solution to it. Any policy that starts and it's already 90% perfect, it's good to go. As for the 10% issues, we'll look at it and resolve. That is why I'm visiting industry that processes the non-ferrous metals. So I'm here, I'll see more, gather all the issues, and then we'll sit on a round table and resolve all. A listening government is a good government, and it's always good for industry.
Elizabeth Ofosue-Jare is Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer of M&D Metals Company Limited, Nidal Nasruddin, also welcomed the policy intervention, stating that the export ban has significantly boosted the company's operations by ensuring steady access to inputs.
The minister, they come in to visit us to ask about the processing of the metals and the melting. Then thanks so much about the question about machine by machine for the processing. We have now we explain for each machine what we have knowledge and what to do this machine. We explain the minister. Then thanks so much for the government. They do this ban. Now we increase our work. Then we increase our business. Then we get our material, even we are importing from outside, from Europe, from Middle East, from different countries. But in the same time, we help also from Ghana now.
Nidal Nasruddin is Chief Executive Officer of M&D Metals Company Limited. And that's all for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, brought to you by Republic Bank. We're the one for you. Join the Republic verse. Do more, shine more, big up. I am Ejibi Wiafe. I can have next is Point Blank.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
The World Cup is coming, and this time you're not just watching it, you're living it. Match Experience Hospitality is giving you front row access to football's biggest stage in absolute style. Think VIP stadium seating, exclusive lounges, gourmet dining, and priority access. No stress, no hassle, just pure football luxury. This isn't just a ticket. This is the World Cup experience. With over a decade as an official FIFA sales agent, Match Experience Hospitality knows exactly how to turn a match into a lifetime memory. So upgrade your World Cup. Call 055-155-1119. Visit matchexphospitality.com or walk into any Absa Bank branch, our official banking partner today. Match Experience Hospitality. Don't just watch the game, live it. Match Experience Hospitality is doing this with Absa Bank as its official banking partner and Glyco as your official travel insurance partner.
The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Shout! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244-308-111 for more information.
MTN.
Kuma has always dreamt of commanding his own military forces.
Attention! Eyes right, stand at ease.
Because that dream is still a vision in progress, He spends his time commanding his money with the EcoBank mobile app.
Operation Supplier Payment. Dispatch 1,000 units of currency from Accra to Benin. Move! Move!
Sometimes he wants a little extra control so that he can buy only what he needs.
Command Center mobile app. Activate virtual card protocol and initiate payments for sneakers and t-shirts. Abort mission for leather coat payment.
Even when the general is fast asleep, his standing order marches out to sort his bills. With the EcoBank mobile app, you can command your money to make safe transactions in Ghana and across 33 African countries. Download the EcoBank mobile app on the Play or App Store today.
By the left, about turn.
EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. EcoBank will never call or send an SMS asking for your PIN, OTP, bank card, or Ghana card details.
My friends, I'm a very happy man. Let me share my testimony. I needed a home at a prime location, but I didn't have enough money. The little I had was too small to buy even a studio apartment, but a friend of mine introduced me to invest to own from Priority View Homes. I invested the little money I had for only 2 years. True to their word, at the maturity date, I qualified for a 2-bedroom luxury apartment at a prime location in Accra. Now look at me, living in my own home without the usual hassle. If you want a stress-free home to live in, I would advise you to sign up to their Invest-to-Own policy in partnership with Omni Basic Bank and say cheers to a new home. You may call Priority View Homes Limited on 055-588-2294 or 024-4068-477 and you will never regret you did. Priority View Homes. There's no place like home.
Momo. It has made life happen in lots of good ways.
Mr. Kwanzaa, Minsak insurance claim no. It
has put together beautiful weddings. It has filled the bellies of boys at their favorite watchy joint.
My guy, stop. Who they chop cancel these days?
It has made millions of businesses possible.
Minsak alone no. We are back in business.
With just a few taps, money moves faster, easier, and safer. Momo understands the weight of your trust in us. We continuously enhance security with features like self-paying research to help you protect your money. Momo will only call you with 0244 300,000. No MTN or Momo staff will call or ask for your PIN or one-time password. Do not transfer funds to anyone whose identity you have not verified. Do not approve any prompts you have not initiated. Momo, still Wunsaka.
Bold colors, bold patterns, bold choices. Bold since 1966. Through every decade, every celebration, every woman, every story. For 60 years, GTP is still the first choice. Today, we are more than fabric. We are fashion. 60 years bold, because bold never gets old, gets retold, and stays gold. Get the GTP at 60th Anniversary Collection today from any accredited GTP distributor nationwide or from our retail shop in Osu and online at shop.gtpfashion.com and celebrate bold colors, bold patterns, and bold women. GTP. Life styled.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
This is Point Blank on Eyewitness News. I am Umaru Sandama. Tonight on Point Blank, we are looking at Ghana's judiciary. The Supreme Court is 150 years old, and there's cause to celebrate. Is there not? There was a symposium in Accra to launch the celebration, the year-long celebration of the Supreme Court at 150. And of course, to lead that for us is our Chief Justice, Justice Paul Bafo Boni. So we're going to hear from him and also hear from the Ghana Bar Association President. Madame Efua Gatti. Let's listen to them.
It is refreshing to know that this is one of the rare occasions where we gather as a judicial family with no case files before us, no preliminary objections to determine, and no applications for adjournment. And for once, I believe we may all agree, without the need for concurring opinions or dissent, that this is a good day for the law. It is not often that an institution is given the privilege of pausing to look at itself in the mirror of time. Today is one of such rare moments, a moment not of noise, but of reflection, not of ceremony, but of reckoning. 150 years ago, in 1876, under the Supreme Court ordinance, a quiet but profound chapter began on these shores. The highest court of the Gold Coast was formally established, not in grand ceremony, but with a solemn duty to guard laws, liberties, and the promise of justice for all. Today, we gather here not merely to mark the passage of time, but to reflect deeply on its meaning. For institutions do not become great by years alone. They become great by the courage with which they serve their purpose. And in our case, by the fidelity with which they uphold the calling of justice. Madam Chair, today, we launch the celebration of Supreme Court of Ghana at 150 under the theme, quote, honoring the past, celebrating the present, and defining the future, end quote. This anniversary is more than a milestone. It is a moment for honest reflection, quiet gratitude, and bold hope. 150 years is remarkable, but history will not judge us by how long the court has existed. It will judge us by what we did with the moment entrusted to us, whether we merely celebrated the past or whether we had the courage to define a brighter future. This anniversary, therefore, must be remembered as a commitment to faster justice, to accessible justice, to transparent justice, and to a judiciary worthy of the enduring trust of the Ghanaian people. Let us first honor the past with the respect it richly deserves. From the early courts in Cape Coast, where the foundations of our legal tradition were laid in the very cradle of what will become Ghana, through the colonial era and the turbulent years after independence, men and women of courage sat on the bench. They defended the rule of law, often under pressure, sometimes making difficult choices, yet leaving behind a legacy of integrity that still lights our path. We remember the pioneering judges who built this institution brick by brick, literally and figuratively. We remember the first Ghanaian voices that rose in our courtrooms, helping shape a young nation into a constitutional democracy. Their footprints live on in every judgment that has protected rights, resolved disputes, and upheld the dignity of the ordinary citizen. We are especially honored today by the presence of three distinguished former Chief Justices. Her Ladyship George Dato Wood, our first female Chief Justice, incidentally the longest serving Chief Justice. From the history of, I'm on record, Georgina Wood served 10 years. The nearest person was Justice Apalu, who served 9 years. Now, her ladyship just so far, Abuna Boafo for our chair for today, and His Lordship Justice Kwesi Eniyabua. When I wrote this when I was writing this speech, he had promised to be here. That is why his name appears here. We are also very much honored by the presence of retired justices like Justice Pegan, who, when he was invited, despite the fact that he doesn't feel too well, promised that he will be here, and he is here. My Lord, we are very, very grateful to you. I also want to especially mention the name of Justice Samuel Alan Broby, who actually mentored me, and I'm certain mentored most of the judges who are here. I would also like to mention Justice William Atuguba. When I joined the Supreme Court in 2008, he was one of the pillars that I found difficult to get near to, because he and Sophia Kufu were like institutions.
The bar, for several reasons, has a well-vested interest in the celebration of this historic milestone in the annals of the bench. Describing the bench-bar relationship, Justice R.J. Kochar of the Supreme Court of India, in the case Gupta versus Rammoorthy, a 1998 decision, stated as follows: the bar is the mother of the bench and the bright mirror of judicial officers, whose image, character, and conduct is correctly visibly reflected therein. And it is for the bench to nurse and nourish the merits of the bar, unquote. Indeed, before the introduction of imperial law by the Supreme Court Ordinance of 1876, which we celebrate today, a bar existed in the Gold Coast. David Kimball, in his seminal work, A Political History of Ghana, 1850 to 1925, chronicled the evolution of the Gold Coast legal profession. His work spotlights the first 7 self-taught African attorneys or legal practitioners: James Hatton Brew, Charles Bannerman, Charles Henry Battels, George Kuntu Blankson Jr., William Charles Spilsbury, and W.A. Ward of the Gold Coast, who started the legal profession from 1864. Kimball notes, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that the introduction of the Supreme Court Ordinance in 1876 gradually wiped off the 7 self-taught attorneys and the ones that followed. That's Edmund Bannerman, Samuel Bannerman, and George Emisa, and led to the emergence of professionally trained lawyers and solicitors from the Inns of Court. Thus, 1876 is not just significant for the establishment of the Supreme Court, it is also significant for the bar, because it marked the beginning of the era of formal trained lawyers in the Gold Coast. The theme for the celebration is honoring the past, celebrating the present, and defining the future. Respectfully, as we join the bench to launch this momentous celebration, we ask ourselves very simple questions. Where would Ghana be without the rule of law, safeguarded by the bench and the bar? Would the scenery be that of the survival of the fittest? Are we fulfilling our God-given responsibilities? That is why we must continue to remind ourselves, both the bench and the bar, that we find ourselves in a hallowed position, a position of immense power and influence. May we be humbled by this and dispense justice to all men and women without fear or ill will. In 1976, on the centenary of the Supreme Court ordinance, His Lordship Samuel Azukrap, the then Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, delivered the speech at the Supreme Court centenary celebration, which is from 1876 to 1976, and he observed as follows: if our legal history has been eventful in the past century, we can also say that we have been lucky in the people of our nation who have been alive in every generation to match the grandeur of the events of their time. We have in these years past never lacked a hero in the law to speak for our people. A Casely Hayford to warn the imperial power to keep our lands inviolate. A Mensa Saba to plead the people's cause in the highest councils of empire. A Kusi to guide in the writing of our first constitution towards independence. In our own lifetime, a Dankwa to keep us reminded of the need for self-discipline in the tumultuous years immediately after independence, and a Kosa to hold first among our people the scales of justice evenly between the government, the legislature, and the people. As we honor the past, so ably described by Chief Justice Azukrap, let us in the present be resolute in our defense of the rule of law, be true custodians of the sacred trust reposed in us by none other but the Lord Almighty, to whom we are all ultimately accountable. This will define our future.
You heard the president of the Ghana Bar Association, Efo Agate. Earlier you heard the Chief Justice, Bafo Boni, talking about the judiciary of Supreme Court at 150. Talking about legacies, a forgotten giant of Ghana's history is about to be remembered. Who was the man many believed could have become president, yet never did? Well, his name is Alhaji Imoro Igala. So Alhaji Imoro Igala, the president of Ghana that never was, tells the story of a brilliant teacher, nationalist, and one of the youngest ministers under Kwame Nkrumah. From Tamale to the heart of Ghana's first republic, his influence was profound. A book written by Alhaji Idris Igala, this powerful biography restores his legacy. A story of vision, a story of service, a story of Ghana, or a story that Ghana must remember. Discover the extraordinary life of Alhaji Imoro Igala on Saturday, 18th April 2026. That's when the launch is happening, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Marriott Hotel in Accra. Discover the extraordinary life of Alhaji Umaru Igala at the Marriott Hotel on Saturday, 18th April 2026 from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Join for the official launch of that book. If you want to attend, just send a message to the number 0244 162 033. 0244 162 033 or 0246 526 676. 0246 526 676. Send a message to that number if you want to attend the book launch titled The Discovery, or let me tell you, the title is Alhaji Umaru Igala, the President of Ghana That Never Was. And it's telling the story of a brilliant teacher, nationalist, and one of the youngest ministers under Kwame Nkrumah. That's by way of Eyewitness News. Tonight I am Umaru Sandama. I did this with the Jubi Wiafia Kentin. Produced by Beverly London, Kobna Wilson, Julian Odami Asari, Sami Wiafi, Fred Tete Jabano. And the technical support from Emmanuel Lati. New media support from Edwin Kwakofi and the new media team. We'll be back on Monday at 17:30 GMT, but up next, we'll be bringing you Sports Panorama right from the Citi Sports Squad. If you want more news and current affairs, the big issue at 9 a.m. tomorrow with myself on Channel 1 TV and on Citi FM. There's a program you should look out for. Meanwhile, at 8 p.m. tonight on Channel 1 TV, we have the Channel 1 Newsroom with Nanato for Boate. Thank you. Have a great weekend. See you on Monday, inshallah. Good night.